Hey guys, it's WaifuGate again. Today we'll be going over what I think to be best uh, cards from Ikoria, top 5 to be specific. Starting off here, number 1. Number 1. Usually people do this like 1 to 5 or like 5 to 1. They build up for the excitement now. It's obvious it's Shark Typhoon, right? The best card that they printed. You could argue that it's between Shark Typhoon, maybe Yorion, because Yorion's used in a lot of decks and such. But the Yorion's list, most of them also run 3 to 4 copies of Shark Typhoon, so it's kind of close. But for me, I think it's Shark Typhoon because it fits into more decks, whereas Yorion is just a little more specific. So what's great about this card? Well, you're able to either have a super great late game play where you tap out for this enchantment. You tap out 6 when you have like counterspell, magic backup, whatever else you might have. And then you're able to just start developing every time you counter a spell, every time you cast something that's not a creature. You just build this massive army. Now the downsides of that are it can be agented, etc. Like people can destroy it with casualties, with any enchantment hate that they might have, Night of Autumn, etc. Night of Autumn's kind of uncommon, but you know what I mean. Like there are examples, like lots of stuff could get bounced by a Teferi, etc. And then the other part, which I think is almost more powerful, just because of its versatility, is being able to hold up a counter magic, and then Shark Typhoon end of turn to put out a threat and draw a card, or if you can't hold up a counter spell because there's an opposing Teferi, hey, you can just cycle this for like 3 or 4 and just kind of tap the Teferi down. You can just blow them up with swing back on your turn, since you can do this end of turn regardless of Teferi's text that says you can only do things at sorcery speed. You can still use the cycling ability at instant speed, so to speak. So end of turn, boop out a token, hit Teferi, just a great card. And late game, like for my mid-range list for Sultai, like Sultai Ramp, I've actually been loving this with Nissa, who shakes, because you're able to float lots of mana end of turn and then make like a 10-10, 15-15, like the sky's the limit with her ramp, And in Sultai, we get to run a lot more forest now because of the triomes. So it's just nice. Just a great card overall. I think that this is probably the best card that they printed in Ikoria. Just fits into a lot of lists. Just awesome. Just a good card. Been loving it. All right, so let's go to the next card. Surprised. I bet. No, you're probably not. So pretty much speaks for itself. A lot of lists are running this. There's U White Control. There's Jeskai Yorion with the Luca Agent combo. There's Bant Yorion. There's Sultai Yorion. So many Yorion lists, right? And it's obvious because like a lot of people would think, hey, how am I supposed to work with an 80 card pile? How am I ever going to see my sideboard cards? But a lot of the pro Magic players, the MPLs, are just saying that Bant Yorion was the best list and now it's Jeskai Yorion. It seems to just be shifting to another Yorion list after another Yorion list. A lot of people are thinking Winota will come up in the ranks because it kind of punishes Yorion to a point. Just very fast, very quick wins. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But as far as this card goes, my favorite part about this card personally is that you're able to run more cards main deck than you normally would. That would either fit in the sideboard or you just have to struggle, like, can I run 4 Shark Typhoons? The answer is always yes with Yorion because you just have so many slots open. Whereas in a 60 card list, you might only be able to run 3 Shark Typhoons, 2 Shark Typhoons. If you need room for like 2 Nissas or casualties, like this is me speaking from Sultai midrange because that's sort of Sultai ramp where my headspace is right now because it's my most. I just like the deck a lot. So, that's where my mind wanders off when I think about it. So like, for me, though, I do prefer not Yorion and Ramp. But anyway, getting back to this card specifically, you're just able to run more copies of cards main deck. The downsides being, if you only have 4 Shatters, are you going to see 1 to 2 Shatters versus aggro consistently? Or are you going to struggle? Like, how many 4 copies of cards are you running that help you dig for board wipes? 4 Narsets, for Omen of the Sea. Yeah. etc. Like, you know, how many of those cards are you running to help you dig for that board wipe? Or do you just add 2 more board wipes to your deck, run 6, and then hopefully hit that on top of that? Like, it's really easy to balance is my point. Like, as long as you have X amount of things to search for the other things that you need, then you're good. The downside is the sideboard where 1, Yorian's taking up a sideboard slot, and then 2, you need like 3 to 4 copies of every card that you want to see in your sideboard. Otherwise, it's kind of rough, you know, because the consistency on seeing those are so, you know, it's just hard because it's 80 cards, man. Like, when are you going to see it? Even with Narset to help you dig for stuff, Sea of Omen, or Omen of the Sea, I knew I'd mess it up. You know, it's just really hard to find your sideboard cards. So if you can kind of balance that out, this card's great. I mean, it's obvious because if you go to, like, you know, the metagame on any of these sites like Aether Hub, like MTG Goldfish, etc., you know, you see that Jeskai Yorian's pretty much at the top. And so it kind of speaks for itself why it's one of the best cards. I mean, what the card actually does, on top of bringing your minimum deck size up, the impact of having a card that threatens to ECD you twice is insane. Like, I cast ECD. Now, if you don't deal with my ECD, I'm going to ECD you again because of Yorian. So if you can't counter Yorian on the way down, which is a little harder because of the proc from Elspeth's making things cost more the following turn, you just kind of lock your opponent down, on top of just being able to throw out a 4/5 that blinks like an Omen of the Sea. Easy money, like, just easy card advantage, you know. It's really hard to deal with that when you always threaten to do that. Even with Disputes being common main deck, it's like you got to have the mana up, and that's tough. So just a really, really good card. And I mean, it's Agent, like, it's just so many powerful cards that pair with this. It just goes on and on. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So this one seems a little weird. It's not specifically the Zagoth Triome here, the Sultai colored Triome. It's all of the Triomes as a whole as one of the top 5 cards. I know it's kind of a little bit, it's cheating a little, but I think that it's really important that we have good mana base going forward in Standard, since Shocklands and stuff are rotating out. Having these Triomes just kind of gives me a little sense of security that we'll be able to play more than one color for some time to come in Standard. I mean, obviously, Historic, it's going to be a little different. Most of these ratings are for Standard, not necessarily for Historic or Modern or any of that. This is specifically for Standard. That should be earlier in the video, but that's fine. So yeah, so right now we have access to Tamir, Jeskai, Mardu, Abzan, and Sultai colors, which, if you don't know about those, I can include a link down below for the color charts on Triomes, or not Triomes specifically, but just color charts in general. So if you're unfamiliar with it, you can click on that and kind of familiarize yourself if you want to, if you're curious. So, but yeah, these are just great. Not only are they tapping for, you know, the colors that they show, which is black, green, blue for Sultai, Tamir, red, blue, green, etc. They count as all of those basics, which is insane for past formats, right? And for these formats, it's pretty good too, just for Standard specifically. So just because they count as all of those. So like what that means is Nissa taps for an additional green on like all of these pretty much, because I think all of the Triomes that we have right now are forest based, I'm pretty sure. Tamir, Jeskai is the only one that isn't, I believe. Mardu, I don't know about Mardu. I'd have to familiarize. I know Abzan. The ones that I use consistently in my deck have been forest, so I just know that a lot of them count as forest for that. And like in other formats, it'll check your like Drowned Catacombs and stuff, which is nice. It's just really, really good. Just awesome to have good lands. Love it. And the other upside of this is that if you're running like a really high pile for lands, like you're running Ramp, for example, with Spirals, Uros, and you normally run 28, 29 lands just because you want to hit the land drops and you want to have extra land drops for the extra ramp, like things that require more than one land in your hand, like Growth Spiral, because you have to play a land for the turn and then ramp another land. These are just fantastic because if you get flooded out late game, you can simply pay 3 mana end of your opponent's turn while you're holding up a Neutralize or whatever, and you can discard it and draw a card. And it's also very helpful, like if you're on your own turn, you top deck into it, and you're like, man, I really need a board wipe though, and you tap 3, chuck it, draw, and just giving yourself that one more out consistently adds so much power to decks. Like it's just really, really nice. So I just love the triomes, and that's why they're locked in at number 3 for me. Just fantastic. Winota, number 4. Just a really powerful card. Pairs with agent, pairs with aggro. I know that we've been talking mainly about standard for power levels and stuff. I got smashed in a historic event after, I think it was Striderstone did a deck donation, and I just got smashed by Winota with like Burning Tree Emissaries and like all of this other stuff to ramp into it, and I just got one-shotted, which is pretty insane. So even in historic, it's really, really strong, really fast. And it's just a hard to stop card because you have to stop their tokens from attacking you. Otherwise, you just die like it's an aggro list. It plays like an aggro list that has a really high top end, really high rolly power, which is like the best of both worlds in a way. Because either you can go like Naya or something else and go like more threats, bigger dudes, or you can simply like to just one-shot your opponent with the procs, like Grazer into what's it called, the man, it's whiffing on me, the ones that produce the soldier tokens. I can't remember what it's called for the life of me, but the one instant speed produce soldier tokens. And I'm just racking my brain for that card. I really should have done research before I like refreshed my memory before I did this video, but it's fine. You guys know what card it is though. It'll be like 5 people in the comments below like, hey, it's this card. Like I'll probably look for it after the video. But anyway, you go turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 it's not Call to Arms, is it? No, it's something like that where it produces 2 soldiers and then at instant speed, and then turn 3 you Winota because you ramped with Grazer, and then you swing out and then you get some spiky stuff off the top. It'd be really crazy. The common one right now is like Jeskai, where you go like turn 2 the token production, turn 3 War Boss, turn 4 Winota, and you just have more tokens down to get Agent of Treachery out. And then that one can also have Mystical Disputes and stuff main board to kind of mess with the opponent. I think someone was running, it was like Jerza running like Hanged Executioner and stuff to token produce and have spot removal for pesky things, etc. There's just a lot of flexibility with the list, and it's just very, very powerful, and it feels like it punishes decks like Jeskai Yorion that have 80 cards and they have to find the answer to Winota, or they just die. It's just really nice. So I think that this card's going to be coming up to try to punish the bigger Yorion piles. And I think it's just really, really strong. There we go. Number 5, Luris. Now this card kind of sneaks in at number 5 for a few reasons. And the main one is flexibility. You're able to run this in a lot of different lists. Like you see it in, like there's like a tempo list that was running it. That was like, I think it was like Jeskai. And it ran like flyers and stuff, and it was pretty interesting. And then the other common ones are like, Rakdos, Zakdos. With Luris, you end up giving up your like, Mayhem Devils and stuff, but you're able to threaten more recursion with Priest of the Forgotten Realms and such, and Call of the Death Dweller. Like there's a lot of threats in this list, and Luris just provides an answer to if something gets answered, you can bring it back. Potentially, you always threaten that, and it's nice. And then the other deck that it's ran in that's really common is Jeskai Cycle. So if a few of the meta lists are running a card and it's very, very effective, I feel like it deserves some slot in the top 5, for example. Like it's just really, really versatile and very strong. To start with this as your 8th card in your hand, like it's just crazy. Companions in general are just really, really good. So yeah, that'll pretty much cover it for the top 5. If you guys enjoyed the video, you can feel free to like, subscribe, whatever you want to feel like doing. And I'm going to be trying to make more videos like this in the future. I just started to shift into doing 1 YouTube video a day. So bear with me while I get used to that. It's gonna be a lot of work until it becomes natural. So appreciate you guys chilling out, being awesome, and I will see you guys soon. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can feel free to drop them in the comments below, or stop by my stream. I stream just about every day except for like Mondays and Tuesdays usually. Usually that I'm working on the YouTube stuff. So appreciate you, and see you next time.